everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and in today's video we're going to be doing another round of reading the highest and lowest rated books on my TBR. So before we get into the video, please remember to like this video if you enjoy it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. I primarily read fantasy, thrillers and romance books and I post videos every Sunday. So let's get into the video. So the two books on the TBR for this video, let's start with the highest rated. So the highest rated book on my physical TBR is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This has an average rating of 4.45 on Goodreads, which is really high. This is the third book in his sort of like secret project series, so I have no idea what this is about. I haven't really looked too much into what the actual summaries of the secret projects are. I've read Tress of the Emerald Sea and I really enjoyed that one. I've also read the Frugal Wizard's Guide to Medieval Britain or something like that. I really enjoyed that one as well, so I'm excited to see where I sit with this one. And then the lowest rated book on my TBR with an average rating of 3.34 is Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. I bought this one in the works last year. It was pretty cheap and to be honest with you it looked quite interesting. It looked like a different sort of romance. It looks like it's sort of like an archaeological type romance. So I was actually really excited to read this one, and 3.43 isn't actually that low a rating. I've definitely seen lower, but this is the lowest rated on my physical TBR. So I have actually already started reading Raiders of the Lost Heart and I am actually really enjoying this one so far. So in this one we follow our sort of two main, the couple I guess, before they're a couple. So we've got Corrie and Ford Matthews and they're both archaeologists and they go on digs around the world trying to discover, you know, lost artifacts and things like that. She has a connection to an ancient warrior of an Aztec empire called Chamali, and she believes that she is actually a descendant of Chamali. Now Chamali's remains were never discovered, they never found him, and there's sort of rumours about where he died and things like that. She wrote her university dissertation on him and basically he is her life's work. And she gets a phone call one day and is flown out to Mexico, and it turns out that Ford Matthews is on a Chamali dig and she is sort of like, what, excuse me, like this is my life's work. And we read from Ford's perspective as well. So she sort of spends a day there, she agrees to come on the dig with him. They're 3 months into the dig and she's like, you're digging in the wrong place, guys. And we've just gotten to the bit where they are finding a new place to dig. So there's two sort of accounts of what they think happened to Chamali, and there's one that's better regarded, I guess, and one that's not so better regarded. And she believes that the second one is actually what happened, and it turns out she may be right. So they found a location that goes with sort of her theory, or the less popular theory, and they're going to start digging there. Now we also read from Ford's perspective and we know that he's got things going on with his mum, he's got a lot going on, and he knows that he kind of pushed Corrie out of this opportunity, but he needed the money more than her, he thinks, and he feels guilty, and I guess this is him kind of trying to build those bridges back up. They definitely have like a hate to love, love to hate situation going on. They definitely get on each other's nerves, wind each other up quite a lot. We don't know really what happened. We know that they went to university together. We know that he stole an internship from her, and that's kind of it. So he's 38, she's 35, so that was quite a few years ago now, but he clearly has a lot of respect for her. Like, her dissertation is required reading for his university students and things like that, and the fact that he called on her, he knew that she would be able to help. So, and the fact that she has agreed to stay kind of makes me think, like, you know, they do kind of like each other, they just won't admit it to each other. The side characters in this are really interesting as well. I'm really enjoying like where this is set. It's really interesting. I've never really read anything like this before. This is why I picked it up, sort of basically based on the cover. I've never read, like, you know, romance is sort of like, it's like office based, or obviously we've seen a sort of surgence of cowboy romances and things like that, but I've never read anything, even like sort of fantasy wise as well. I've never really read anything based on like an archaeological dig. I did read one last year, What the River Knows. That was a fantasy book and that was really good as well. So it's definitely like a niche that I'm quite interested in, and so far I'm really enjoying this one. I'm really enjoying like the development of the romance and the relationship. I'm also interested in like the relationships between the side characters, like the friendships that are forming from this dig, and I'm also just interested in the dig itself. I think Chamali is like a made up, I'm assuming, I might have to look into that, I'm assuming it's a made up like warrior, it's like made up for this book, but I'm really enjoying the intricacies of the dig and like what goes into an archaeological dig and things like that. It's really interesting. Like I said, I've never really read anything like this before, and it's just really fascinating, and it's like a different setting as well for romance, which is really cool. But yeah, I am actually really enjoying this one so far. The only thing I will say is is sometimes I find like the dialogue and the writing a little bit cringy, and that's maybe just how this author writes, but like I don't know, like considering I said earlier they're 35 and 38, they do read like a little bit younger, just from a little bit of immaturity, I think. But other than that, I am really enjoying this one. I think so far it's probably going to be maybe like a 4-star rating. I'm not really sure. We'll see what happens in the latter bit of this book. I'm just under, or just over, I'm just about halfway actually. But yeah, really enjoying this one so far, and actually quite surprised that this was the lowest rated, because I'm actually quite enjoying it. So just goes to show that, you know, what might not be other people's cup of tea might be your cup of tea. But yeah, really enjoying this one so far. Hey everyone, so I'm just doing a very quick check-in. I am really sorry if the camera is a bit wonky. I just filmed a book haul and the book pile fell over onto the stand that you're on and it's broken, so I'm gonna have to order a new one, but we're just gonna have to put up with it for now. So I do apologize if I'm crooked. I think that's like as straight as I can get it. But I did finish reading Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura, and I think I'm going to settle on a 3.5 rating, so basically average as to what everyone else thought of it as well. Again, the sort of the cringy dialogue did continue a little bit throughout, and our main character, the woman Corrie, she did get a bit frustrating as well. They just didn't seem to listen to each other, and it was just getting a bit frustrating to read. And just some of the things she said, I understand she's been through a lot and it's a very like dog eat dog world in archaeology from what I can understand from this book, but when she says things like I don't take orders from a man, and like she actually means that, and it's just like, kind of no wonder no one takes you seriously in your industry. Like, you don't have respect for them, why would they have respect for you? And I think a lot of the things that she blames on being like a woman in archaeology is just the fact that she has no respect for any of her peers. Other than that, it was interesting seeing the archaeology side of it and seeing the dig and seeing what they discovered. I kind of wish we kept with that a little bit more towards the end of the book. There was a bit of a revelation that happened, and I don't want to spoil it, but like, you know, they went out to find this Aztec warrior Chamali, and we made a few discoveries regarding that, which is really interesting. Obviously I know it's like a made up person for this book, but it was really interesting to see that. And then I do feel the ending was a little bit rushed. So from that basis, I'm going to give this one a 3.5. However, I will be continuing on with this series. I know there's some companion novels coming out. It was a quick read, it was fun, and I'm definitely more interested to see more of the archaeological side of that industry. I don't know too much about it, apart from obviously everyone's seen the Indiana Jones films. But yeah, this one was really fun, and also I love the cover of this book. It's absolutely stunning. So yeah, definitely enjoyed this one. 3.5, really happy with this one. Okay, so I'm just coming in with a very quick reading update. I have started reading Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. I'm not sure how I feel about this one so far. So this one we follow Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. So Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I think his name's like Nikado or something, I can't remember what his name is. They refer to him as like Painter, or Yumi and Painter are from two very different worlds. Yumi has been selected since she was a baby to basically like offer herself to the spirits, and she has to like do ritual bathing and rituals. Basically she like stacks rocks, and then if the spirits deem her worthy, they will come to her, and then she can help the people in certain towns, like they can give her light and things like that. And then Painter is from a world where nightmares can come to life. So I don't really understand how exactly it works. It's not really been explained very much, but basically after 10 visits to a city, a nightmare can become stable, and then they're harder to get rid of, and to get rid of them you like paint them or something. I'm not really sure how that whole thing works, but that's Painter's job. In one of the chapters, Yumi starts like hearing Painter talk to her, and then suddenly they're like thrust together and somehow they travel back and forth from the world. So like when Yumi wakes up and Painter's just sat in her room and then nobody can see Yumi, Painter looks like Yumi. So then Yumi has to direct Painter on how to like be her and do like the ritual bathing and things like that. And then when they go to sleep, or like at one point Painter faint, they then wake up in Painter's world and have to deal with like the nightmare situation thing there. Like, it's interesting, but I'm not sure if I'm loving it. Like, the lack of like world building and how the magic systems like work in these worlds is a bit annoying. I hope that maybe we get a bit more of an explanation as we go a bit further on. The characters I don't really feel all that connected to, but then I feel like maybe this is just a bit of a fun Cosmere novel. It is kind of interesting as well. This one seems to be a lot more connected to the Cosmere than previous books. Obviously I don't think all those secret projects are Cosmere related, but this one I believe is told from like Hoyd's, or like we have some Hoyd perspective in here. And then we see, is it Design? There's like a character from Stormlight, I think, that makes an appearance in here. I'm not 100%, but like it's ringing bells. So that's kind of interesting. And they keep mentioning like rush art, so I'm guessing these world, or one of these worlds, is connected to Russia in some kind of way, and maybe these characters might make an appearance in Stormlight. I'm not really sure how that's going to work. I don't think any of that's a spoiler, because that basically all kind of gets revealed in the first like 50 pages. But I am liking this one so far. I am getting a bit annoyed at some of the writing in here. He keeps repeating, like, anytime on one of the planets, like, he said this lowly, he said this lowly, and it's a bit like, it's every sentence. We don't need all that much description about how the character lowly talking, you know. It's just like, use another word. But otherwise, I am enjoying it kind of so far. I'm not really sure what I think. It's not that I don't want to read it. I don't know. It's like, it's a quick read. I'll see how we get on with it. At the end of the day, I'm going to read it regardless, because it is Brandon Sanderson, it is a secret project, and I do believe it is Cosmere related, and I'm not going to enjoy everything in the Cosmere, but we'll see how I feel about this one. At the moment, I'm thinking maybe like a similar rating to Raiders of the Lost Heart, but obviously I am only just over 100 pages in. A lot could happen to change my rating. So yeah, we will carry on reading and see how I get on with this one. Okay guys, I'm really sorry for the terrible angle here. My tripod is broken and it will not stand up on its own, so we're just gonna have to kind of do our best for this last bit of the video. So I am coming in to wrap this vlog up. I did finish reading Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, and this one is going to be a 3-star rating from me, so quite a bit below its average 4.45 stars. For me, this just wasn't for me, unfortunately. I found it very frustrating to read with the lack of world building and explanation on the magic system, so we just kind of like had to go with it, which is fine, but it just wasn't really my cup of tea. Yeah, I was just kind of like not really rooting for the characters, not really rooting for them to kind of like save the day sort of thing, because I just didn't really understand what was going on. I think when you've got a concept like you've got these beasts, these nightmares that, you know, one of our characters is fighting off, and there's no explanation as to how painting helps. Like, you know, with a bad guy, you stab them, you kill them. In this world, you paint them, or you paint something. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then you're kind of like rooting for him to paint all these nightmares to save the day, and it's just kind of like, it didn't make any sense to me. And then we did have a bit of like explanation near the end to how the characters were connected and how this world kind of fits in with the Cosmere, and how the world kind of fit in with this story as well. How did our characters become connected? It's very like, tell me, not show me, and it was just very dumped at the end, and I just kind of like, I don't know, it just didn't really have Brandon Sanderson spark that we're kind of used to, just for me anyway. It's my personal opinion. I did really enjoy Tress of the Emerald Sea and the Frugal Wizard's Handbook. This just wasn't for me, unfortunately. I do like the more whimsical ones, but like, this was almost like too whimsical, and they were just kind of like, we got on the roller coaster, and like, I wanted to know how the roller coaster worked. And yeah, I guess sometimes you don't find out how the roller coaster worked, but I didn't understand it, so therefore I didn't enjoy it. Yeah, it just, I'm being very critical of it, but I feel like he's my favourite author, and when I give his books like 4 or 5 stars and I'm gushing about them, I feel like it almost, I don't know, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like, he is my favourite author, and I will continue to read the secret projects. Obviously I've only got one left, but this just wasn't my favourite, and that's okay. I also thought that the mentions of the Cosmere as a whole, a lot of them were just kind of thrown in near the end. So obviously we have Hoyd and Design, who are in this from the very start, which is fine. It kind of like made sense why they were here. And then we had a comment made about like burning tin on page like 300 and something, like 20 pages before the end, and I was like, you're just gonna throw that in, no explanation, and like no relevance either to this world or to this magic system. It just didn't make sense. I felt like it was a bit fan servicey with elements like that, and yeah, it just, I don't know. There were other points of the Cosmere that were drawn into here, and I just kind of felt like they were just kind of dumped in with no explanation, and we just kind of like swiftly moved on, and as the reader we're just kind of like supposed to go along with it. It just, I don't know, I feel like maybe he was just trying to tie other Cosmere together and wanted this book in it, but kind of didn't know how to fit it in, if that makes sense. So yeah, this just didn't really have the Brandon Sanderson spark for me. I did enjoy reading it. I don't think I'm really going to think about this book much now I finished it. I mean, it's definitely not going to be one that I reread in the future. And to be honest with you, like, I wouldn't recommend it, but it's not my cup of tea. If we have similar tastes, then I don't think I would recommend this one. But I know like one of my friends has read this and gave it like a 4 star, so like she really enjoyed it. It's just not my thing, unfortunately. So yeah, that's that for this one. So kind of interesting that we've read a highest and lowest rated, and I enjoyed the lowest rated one a lot more than the highest one. So that's kind of interesting. Sorry, just a couple more points I wanted to make about Yumi and the Nightmare Painter as well. I feel like the plot, we just kind of went round in circles a bit, which I guess is kind of the point of the plot, but it did get a bit tedious after a bit of time, and I did find some of the reveals and the explanations like really not worth the time. I'm not talking about like how the magic system works. Obviously I've already talked about how like I didn't really like the lack of explanations for that. It's more of like the characters, their stories. I don't know, it just kind of felt like we were going round and round in circles for the sake of it. I don't think that this needed to be as long as it was. I feel like this maybe could have been a cool novella, maybe a bit longer, and we delve into the history of this world a bit more. I don't know, I just don't think this is his best. Yeah, I know it says in the author's note that this is his favourite of the secret projects, and I'm kind of like, oh no, it's not mine, which is fine, it's fine. But yeah, I don't know, I was a bit disappointed by this one. I mean, 3 stars is still a good rating, like it's above average, but for a book that's rated like 4.45 on Goodreads, I kind of expected a bit better, and especially for a Brandon Sanderson book as well. I feel like we just didn't get anything, and he has usually quite intricate magic systems and really cool worlds that we get a lot of detail about, and this we just didn't get anything. Yeah, it just, I don't know, like I didn't really find myself rooting for the characters either. I didn't really feel like I connected with either of them, which is okay. Like, I don't need to connect to the characters or see myself in them, but it just didn't have me rooting for them. I just kind of like didn't really care what happened to them. Near the end, something happens to one of the characters and I was kind of like, I just don't really care. I was kind of like, oh, okay, like, cool. But yeah, so yeah, that's that on this one. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this reading vlog. Comment down below if you've read either of these books. I would love to know your guys' opinion. If you've made it this far, please remember to like if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one when I've got a new tripod and we're not doing this awkward angle. Okay, bye.